England cruised past Wales to confirm their title credentials. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. If I had an England shirt, I would definitely be wearing it in honour of that performance by England. They were absolutely superb. Maybe, got a little bit too loose in the second half, but they've got a massive lead. There's no chance of the game kind of, going away from them at that point. And, they're just kind of trying things out. Some of it comes off, some of it doesn't. So you can't really, blame them for any of that. But yeah, overall, I thought brilliant performance from them. Wales, kind of the opposite. We thought, they might make some strides in this Six Nations. They still might, there's still 4 more games for them. And we don't know, it's the first week, but certainly, any optimism that was there before the kickoff has been certainly deflated, I think, for them. But let's go through the game and then we'll come back and talk about the teams again. So England applying airy pressure, force a penalty, Ford opens the scoring 3-0. Wales then, they go to the corner from a penalty, but they get pinged at a line out for obstruction. It's a stupid penalty to give away from. It's basically like the lifters going in behind the guy that claims the ball and causing obstructions. It's a stupid penalty. And so many teams unfortunately get pinged for it. And such a great chance as well to start right, for them in terms of just maybe potentially getting over for a try there, taking the lead in the game, but didn't happen. England then, they go right up the other end. They drive it into the 22, shift it wide to Arundel, who then has the pace to win. Ford converts. So England now 10 points to 0 up. Then they win a penalty on the edge of 22, and it's a gimme from the tee, but it gets reversed because Genge gets involved in something silly with Alex Mann. As basically one of these stupid ones where he kind of puts his head against his head, like when they're squaring up against each other. Yeah, and just stupid, really. Wales then infringe at the maul at the edge of 22, and they get a warning about the number of penalties that they're conceding. England up the line. Nicky Smith then immediately gives away another penalty, and he goes to the bin. England get held up over the line just after that, but Wales infringe again in the maul, and Captain Dowie Lake goes to the bin. Wales down to 13 players. And, what can you say at that point? England then, just piling on the pressure. They get it out of a scrum quickly, cross kick to Arundel, who goes in for his second. Conversion is off target, 15 points to 0. England then to the corner from a scrum penalty, and they go to, 1 out carries. That takes them up to the line, but Wales managed to hold them up over the line. So some decent defence there from them. But back come England again. Freeman with a strong carry on the right. They then go left, and Earl crashes through the tackle of me to score in the corner. And great conversion from Ford, 22 points to 0. And, the likes of, you look at some of the back options that Wales had, the likes of me, Reece Sama at fullback, and Josh Adams on the other wing. So, they've got some great options there, but you're only seeing them in defence really, for most of the game. Wales then, looking to get something going, but they get whistled at the scrum, 10 metres out from the England line. And then their line out, shortly after, line out misfires when they go up the line from a penalty that was conceded by Genge. And yeah, even at that stage, you're not expecting to win the game, but any chances that they are getting, they're not taking any kind of advantage from them themselves. Then there's even worse than them, playing around in their own half. Pass goes completely behind the player and to ground. England snaffle it up. They counter, shifted to Arundel, who completes his hat-trick. Conversion makes it 29 points to 0. Bonus point in the bag for England. Arundel, he's never going to score an easier hat trick than that. They're all just kind of run-ins for him. Still had to be finished, but just it just shows the absolute difference between these two teams today, that it was so easy for England to be able to finish those tries. Next then, Wales to the corner from penalty. They then win another. They then got penalty advantage and they tried to put it through the hands, but it's absolute mess. Like the ball's going on the deck. They can't even move it right to left. I think the ball went to the deck maybe 2 or 3 times. So back for the penalty we come. And then they decide to tap the penalty. Derry Lake, he goes from the tap penalty, except he didn't actually tap the ball. So absolute basic error there from him. Like other people have done it before, but still, I guess given everything else that was going wrong for Wales, it was probably the right time for that to go wrong as well. Into the second half then, and England, they're piling it on, just more pressure. They suck in the defence on the left into 22. Then they go right, and they've got 4 men over, but they don't need them. So Roebuck goes in. That's converted for 36 points to 0. Wales now pressing close to the line. England get a warning, and Maro Itoje, who's literally just come on the field, he goes to the bin. Want to say, condolences to him as well. The whole thing of his mother dying and stuff. It's got to be a difficult time for him. And the crowd certainly let the referee know about it as well. But you can't really be too sentimental with penalties close to your own line and stuff like that. So then Wales hammering away at the line before Costello cross kicks to Adams, who goes over to score the corner. That's converted for 36 points to 7. Then Jenkins ping for jumping across the line out. England kick to about 10 metres out, go to the maul. They move it, and Stewart gets his hands free in the tackle, gives it off to Chesham, brings him up to a couple of metres out. England then go right and then back in field, but Wales managed to get over the ball to win a penalty. So you're still seeing some kind of fight from Wales in the game, but it's just England just have too much ability for them really at this point. Thomas then goes to the bin for ripping the ball on the ground. England to the corner from the penalty, but the overthrow at the line-out. England then get Freeman free on the edge out right. He's out on the wing now. He offloads, and then can't remember who he offloads to, but that person then passes to Pollock, who has just come on. He goes over, thinks he scored, but we have a team out check. Shows that Pollock's foot was in touch, but there was a high tackle on him by Plumtree. So Plumtree goes to the bin, and it's a penalty try, 43 points to 7. Wales then down to 13 for the second time in the game. And things just not going their way at all. England then come again, and they suck in the defence into 22. Freeman goes over, but it gets chalked off for a neck roll by Cowan-Dickey. So then England get him into space again out on the right, and he shows really good pace up the line to around about 5 metres out. He's got somebody inside him, but he decides he's going to kick through. Rhys Sammet gets to the ball first. And, in the context of this game, that error absolutely does not matter. But you imagine doing that maybe against France when it's possibly a Grand Slam decider in that final round. That ball has to go inside. But at least he's done it now, and he will be told, that pass should have gone inside. England then to the corner from a penalty, go to the maul. Cowan-Dickey off the back, gives it to Freeman. Lovely step inside, and then has the power to get over and finish. Conversion is missed. 48 points to 7 is the full-time score. And it was all kind of, one-way traffic in the game. But let's have a look at the stats before we chat about the teams. Right, so let me pull them up here on the official website. Okay, so when you're ready, there we go. Okay. So first of all, possession 55-45 in favour of England, and territory 58-42. So England with most of the ball, and most of that in the Welsh half as well. And, you know, they didn't take every single opportunity that they made, but they took enough of them that, you know, there was no real route back into the game for Wales. Even if they had a purple patch in that second half, it didn't really matter in terms of the outcome of the game, I think. Right, so attacking minutes, 20 minutes on the dot for England and 14.6 for Wales. So 7 tries to 1. So England scoring 1 try every about 3 attacking minutes, and Wales obviously 1 every 14 minutes. Carries then 144 to 100. Meters carried 844 to 460, and meters gained 544 to 289. So England making about 3.5 meters per carry, and Wales, you know, just under 3 meters themselves. But, you know, the fact that England had almost 50% more carries, then that difference, even if it's only half a meter per carry, makes a big difference in the overall impact on the game. Line break sent 16-6, and that's from 29 defenders beaten to 17. So England round about 1 and 2 conversion, and Wales 1 and 3. Total passes 164 to 74. Offloads 8-1. So England, a team looking to keep that ball alive and, you know, prevent Wales slowing it down at rucks. Handling errors then 11-5. So, you know, you're seeing that this England team allowed to try things and not afraid to make mistakes and make those handling errors, but they come good in the end. And then turnovers conceded 13-11. So even with those handling errors, you know, they're still pretty even on the turnover count. Now, next then we look at kicking. So kicks and play, 42 for England and 37 for Wales. So, you know, we're seeing this all across now, like the opening round. The lowest number of kicks from any team, kicks and play, was Scotland with 30, and everyone else has been you know, higher up, like into the mid 30s, and now we have England into the 40s as well. And it's the way kind of the game is going, especially given the conditions that most of the games are played in this weekend as well, is that, you know, if you're kicking and there's an error, you know, if you make the error on the end of that kick, well, that's in the opposition's half, so it's not too bad. If they make the error, it's a good position for you. And it does that for, you know, the teams that like to run the ball. So we've seen France do it really well against Ireland. We saw England do it really well here in this game as well. And, you know, we've seen Italy, you know, wasn't such a running game against Scotland, but we still saw them, you know, kicking more. And they had that intent. The conditions, you know, like there was, it looked like at times there was nearly a foot of water, like, you know, it could have been playing water polo or something in that game, but still the intent was there, you know, and a lot of it is that it's not a case of kicking for the sake of kicking. It's kicking to get in position, create those, you know, kind of broken field moments where teams, you know, can exploit them. The teams that have that, you know, ability to get on the ball and move it quickly and get there and support and stuff like that. And that's what we're seeing a lot. And then we look at the kick meters, 1,333 for England and 1,141 for Wales. So at that, you're looking at, you know, for both teams, you're looking at like 30 meters plus per kick. And normally, if you're going for contestable kicks, your kicking distance is going to be somewhere between 20 and 25 meters. Anything over that, it means that you've got, you know, a good variance on your kicks. So some long and some short. And then when you get above the 30 meter mark, it means that a lot of the kicking was for territory. And we saw that in this game, like, trying to turn the defense, kicking to space, looking for things like 50-22s, or just, the fact that, both teams had pace on the wing. So you're looking to have that ball hit the deck, bounce, and then backing pace, to get there and contest on the ground rather than in the air. So we saw a lot of that in this one. And then we look at the tactical kicks, the short tactical kicks, which would be more your, like, grubbers and the, like, Gary Owen, or not Gary Owens, box kicks, so the type of ones that would be shorter, 17 from England and 14 from Wales. So you can see less than half, and substantially less than half of both of their kicks were those types of contestable kicks. So if we go back a year, most teams were putting up contestable kicks, but now we're seeing teams kicking more, in terms of longer kicks. And, in this game, it's even gone more compared to any of the other games that happened this weekend, because we saw, a higher percentage of kicks being contestables in the other games. And obviously England reaped the reward from that today. On to defence then. So tackles made 137 to 141, so very even there. Tackles missed, though, 17 for England, 29 for Wales. So 88% for England, absolutely excellent in defence. If you're getting somewhere in the mid 80s, it's a really good performance defensively at test level. Getting up there in the high 80s, is even a step above that. Wales, 77%. Not great. I think that's around the same level as Scotland produced today. I think Scotland were 77 as well. And again, you want to be up there in the 80s as kind of a pass mark, right? At 80%, I think at test level is the pass mark. Anything below that, definitely need, to work on that. And again, you look at the percentage and think, well, 77 is decent if you're looking at it as an overall thing compared to 88, but that 11% is a big gulf at test level. Okay, next then, discipline. Penalties conceded, 12 for England, 16 for Wales. So, we saw Wales conceding a lot of penalties in that first half, and then they had a period in the second half as well. And unfortunately for them, conceding them in bursts, which led to those yellow cards. Like England got two themselves when they had their own period of pressure as well. And both teams were doing that. They were kind of giving away penalties in groups rather than kind of, singles, and then, recovering and letting that kind of timer on warnings and stuff tick away. So that's why we ended up with 2 yellow cards for England and 4 for Wales. So 6 yellow cards altogether in the game. Free kicks conceded, then 1 for England, 2 for Wales. Offensive penalties 4-2 and defensive 8-14. But again, both of these teams will want to lower that penalty count. You're always looking to try and get in single figures. England not too far away. Wales, 16 is far too much. So they're gonna have to improve on that. But I think that will come if they can improve their overall performance. They reduce the amount of pressure they're under, and they will just naturally reduce the number of penalties to give away as well. So breakdown then, Rooks won 76-67, 3 Rooks lost each. In terms of quick ball, so 44% for England, which is kind of around the level that we're seeing from pretty much all of the teams this weekend. But Wales then with 56%. So they had tons of fast ball and did absolutely nothing with it, and so they've got that at least there as a platform that if they do start performing well, you can see them, getting a decent performance, and it could be a case that if they do get a win in this Six Nations, it won't be kind of just scraping over the line. They might actually win well simply because if they're able to generate that much fast ball and get everything else going for them, they'll create a lot of opportunities for themselves. Next, then medium speed ball, so 4 to 6 seconds, 36% to 20, and then slow ball, 6 seconds or more, 19% for England, 23 for Wales. So Wales, although they had a lot of fast ball, they also had a lot of slow ball as well in the game. But at least that's one positive for them to take out of that, is that, the speed of ball presented to the scrum half faster than any other team this weekend. But again, they didn't do all that much with it. On to set piece then. Scrums, England 5 from 5 for 100%. Wales 3 from 4 for 75%. Lineouts then, England 19 out of 20. So that's really good from them. And then Wales 13 from 17. Not so good. That's definitely down towards like the end, the bottom, of the line-out performances this weekend, along, I'd say, with Scotland. And then line-out steals, 3 for England and none for Wales. Okay, and now let's have a chat about each of the teams then. So we'll start with Wales and then we'll finish off with England. So, I think certainly I expected Wales to be better than they were today, and there's a lot going on in Welsh rugby, and the WRU are not helping the situation at all, and not helping Steve Tandy with all of this stuff that's going on, at the regions and things like that. And then just the wider communication issues with the WRU, like it feels like amateur hour with those guys there, and they're not making it, as I said, an easy task for a new coach in his first Six Nations in charge of the team, trying to get some kind of momentum going. And yeah, it was really difficult for them. I thought that Wales, we would see some kind of performance from them, on the back of the fact that, we've had Cardiff doing pretty well so far, this year in the URC, albeit on a dip at the moment. But then, we've seen resurgences, recently from the Dragons, from Scarlets, and from Ospreys as well. But, not enough to basically feed through to the team and get any kind of cohesive performance from them. So plenty of work for the coaches to do there. But they are kind of at the start of their journey, as it were. They've had the November window. This is the first Six Nations. They're going to improve. They're going to be more cohesive by the end of the Six Nations. And then we'll see how they go from there. Nobody's really expecting miracles, given, we go back a year and they're in the middle of, their record losing run, during that Six Nations. So, if they can even get a win in the Six Nations, it's going to be a massive boost to them. At the moment, I think the target is performance. If they can get a better performance than they did today, and they just build on that, I think that's what they should be looking for going forward. For England, as I said, a lot of positives from them. Really like they looked so dangerous ball in hand. Also, that mixture of, they got that kind of hybrid forward back thing that South Africa have going as well, where you have the likes of Ben Earl, who you can stick him in the centres. You got Henry Pollock, who's kind of a hybrid as well. And then you have, people like, Freeman, who, playing him in the centre, but he's kind of almost, playing the role almost like a back rower type thing, right? Rather than a traditional centre. And then you put him back in his wing, and then, he can give you, what he does out there as well. So, and I think as well, George Ford, I think he's the guy at the moment, now that Farrell is gone. I think he's the guy in terms of the 10s that England have at the minute. So talking about him, Marcus Smith and Finn Smith, the one that kind of gets the least leeway from the media and the fans. And he kind of puts a foot wrong, England not really clicking, immediately it's like, get Ford out, bring in one of the two Smiths, right? But I thought he was excellent today, and he just shows, he can make that team really run like clockwork. And, in the end, as I said, a lot of you look at Arundel's 3 tries and they were basically walk-ins for each of them. But England had to, engineer that space for him. Now, part of that was, again, just the sheer pressure that they put on Wales, and Wales ending up with, twice having 2 players in the bin at the same time. But again, you've got to credit the England team for that, because, had Wales not infringed in the way that they did and gave away those penalties, England might have got over to score earlier as well. So yeah, it's looking good. I think the set piece was pretty good today, under no real pressure. They did have a few kind of hiccups on things. There certainly are areas to kind of iron out a little bit, but, Steve Borthwick, I think, will be very happy with the way the team have gone here. It's a brilliant start, bonus point win for them. Everybody tails up, and, at the minute, for the title, it's certainly obviously other teams could be in contention, especially Italy now, who, are 1 from 1, but it does kind of look like it's going to be a 2-horse race between England and France. And, the more we get through the tournament and the more that these 2 teams continue, to win, I think then the more of, a kind of, really tasty, final game that game in Paris between England and, France looks, I think at that stage, it almost feels like already that potentially a, Grand Slam decider in Paris is kind of written in the stars, and that's what we're going to get. And that's going to be an epic kind of back and forth between those 2. But it's the first round of the competition, and, England, brilliant start, but, they've got to keep focused now and keep on, get those wins going, and make sure that they don't kind of lose sight of that kind of mechanic going through the tournament and getting your wins, and not slipping up beforehand and missing the chance of it actually being a Grand Slam decider rather than a championship decider. But as I said, for now, tons of positives for them.